Brought to you by the Every Dollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
John, it's time for our long-running segment, Talk Nerdy to Me.
Man,
I just want to know your thoughts just on that alone.
we've been traveling a lot, and there's many nights you and I are driving late nights, to an airport or to a speaking gig, and you're like, John, talk nerdy to me.
And we get into it.
Yeah, we do.
And that's what we do on the air.
So we're going to make it a segment.
We're going to explain a financial concept that maybe you've never, thought about all that much, or you hear it and you go, I think I know what that is, and I try to pretend when I'm at a party that I know. Because when you're at parties, what you talk about, John, is, don't say it, because I got a clip to tease it. You ready?
Let's do it.
Let's see if you can guess, America, based on this clip from Seinfeld.
I'm not an investor. People always tell me, you should have your money working for you. I decided I'll do the work. I'm going to let the money relax. You know what I mean? Because you send your money out there working for you. A lot of times, it gets fired. You go back there, what happened? I had my money. It was here. It was working for me. Yeah, I remember your money. Showing up late, taking time off. We had to let him go.
That's good stuff, John. That's gold, Jerry. Is that any good to you? No? Okay. Well, John, what we're talking about today is not investing. It's the cousin of investing, which is savings. So there's a big difference. Savings, think short-term. Investing, think long-term. And the word of the day is high-yield savings accounts, or HYSA.
Talk nerdy to me, George. What is a high-yield savings account?
So this one's kind of what it sounds like. It's like onomatopoeia. I think that's what that is. A high-yield savings account has a higher yield, higher interest than a traditional savings account. So let's talk about those numbers. A traditional savings account, the average you'll get is 0.46% in interest on your balance, which is not even 0.5%. High-yield savings accounts, we're seeing some record numbers here, John, at 4 or 5% that you're getting on your money. So you have $100,000 sitting in there. If that balance just sat there, over those 12 months, you would make $5,000, which is pretty sweet for doing nothing. Mm-hmm. And so we talk about having your money work harder for you, and that's why I recommend people store their emergency funds, their big savings like a home down payment, you're saving up for a car, because once you get that ball rolling, it's nice to make a little bit of dough. So the goal here is not to make 10, 20%. We're not investing. This is for short-term goals. Think 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year goals. A high-yield savings account is a great place on top of your emergency fund. And what you're going to see is this word, APY, annual percentage yield. So $10,000 in a high-yield savings account at 5% APY, that's $500 in interest at the end of the 12 months. It's that simple. And so with a traditional savings account at 0.46%, you get a measly $46 a year versus, the $500. And so that's why I recommend those high-yield savings accounts. It's a great place to store those things like the emergency funds, sinking funds. But again, this is not a long-term investment strategy. So do not think that you're investing by putting money into this type of account. And if you're spooked by the stock market, people go, well, I'll just put it in savings. Well, you're going to hopefully maybe keep up with inflation at that rate, but your money's not going to grow. So long-term, think 5+ years, you want to invest it into the market, into your 401k, IRA, brokerage account. Short-term, high-yield savings.
So just practically speaking, here's a couple of ways I've used high-yield savings accounts. When my wife and I were saving for a house. And we were basically, it was a sinking fund, but it was where we put a ton of money for our down payment. And we went and put a huge chunk down. We used a high yield savings account, and we did. I looked up after 18 months. I couldn't believe how much interest we'd made. It was remarkable.
Yes.
Also, I use a high yield savings account for. I pay my taxes and insurance and lump payments every year, and so I basically pay a bill every month, but I put it into that high yield savings account, so it earns money over the course of the year. And at the end of the year, I'm never surprised by something.
That's right.
And so those are two ways that we just use it in the Deloney household.
And if you're wondering, well, how are they able to offer these? Well, they're generally offered by online banks, which have lower overhead because they don't have to create 1,000 brick and mortars and hire a bunch of people. They can be a little more nimble, and they can pass the savings on to you. So that's where you're going to see these. Recently, John, I partnered on my YouTube channel with a company called Laurel Road, a great online bank, and they've got the APY right now is 5.15%, which is impressive. And so if you guys want to check that out, This is not like a sponsored segment. I just am a fan of what they do. laurelroad.com/George. You can check it out. And John, you use probably a different account for your high yield?
Yeah, my Smart Vestor Pro, Craig with Swan Wealth Management. He put me in Cambridge, Stonecastle, and works. It's been in that range.
And it's probably around 5%.
Yeah,
so
give or take, and it's been awesome.
Don't go chasing like, oh, well,
Waterfalls.
This account. Don't go chasing waterfalls, and don't go chasing the spread because you found another company that offers a 0.05% higher rate than you were getting. The juice ain't worth the squeeze there. But the key is don't go with one of these scummy companies that are like part of like SoFi or Capital One. You're seeing a lot of these debt companies start to offer high yield savings accounts as a gateway drug to get you into their, grimy little grubby fingers. Don't do that. So, there's some credit unions out there that have some great high yield savings. Ally, I think, is one that Jade and Rachel have used. I use Laurel Road, and John uses a different one. The key here is it keeps your money safe. You want to make sure it's FDIC insured, which means your deposits, if the bank collapses, you're going to keep your money safe up to $250 for a single person per ownership category, or $500,000 if it's a joint account. And the other thing is watch out for monthly maintenance fees. So that's one thing I love about Laurel Road. No monthly maintenance fees, no, heebie-jeebie minimum balance required here. You don't have to worry about that. So those are some of the things to look out for. We've got a great blog article on this. We're going to link it in the show notes if you want to learn more about high-yield savings accounts.
Create your free every dollar budget today, the simplest way to budget for your life.